Hi and welcome to this reaction once again of one of Pontia's greatest videos and a food for thought. With me here is again my dear friend Kit from Chicago Reacts. Hi Kit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this wonderful live stream. I'm with my good friend, the 40K Empress, the one and only. There's only one 40K Empress. And as always, I'm from Chicago React, so good to see you guys.
The lore is important, whether it's fictional or not. Well, lore is fictional most of the times, but people think that that's not important, so we will let Pontius explain why it's important. And of course, throughout this whole reaction, we're going to stop, play, comment on it. And Pontius, of course, is in the chat. He can also say anything if he likes. So, without further ado, let's start and let's see what this is.
What is this place exactly?
You wanted to make the announcement in a quiet place, so I decided that the best place to make it was the space of my brain designated for Tau lore.
I want to be completely honest. I expected a lot more Tau porn in this part of your brain.
No, that is the not safe for work section of my brain. Want to go there?
No, here is fine.
Well, we came here just to announce that the next video programmed for the channel is an Ask Me Everything, or IMA if you prefer it. So we wanted to let all viewers know that if they have any questions for any characters of the channel, from me to the entire cast, that you can leave them in the comments and the most voted will be answered in the next video.
Was that Farsight?
Yeah, it's one of the few things of the Tau that is worth remembering. Now, we have a video to make, let's get to work. Pio, we have here the latest reviews for the episodes of the show until now.
What do they say?
Many reviewers agree that the videos are lacking in a positive and meaningful message for all the viewers, so I have decided that you will be our new positive messages sponsor for the videos.
I fear the implications of that. If you ever feel useless or stupid in your day-to-day life, remember, the Tau tried to negotiate with the Tyranids. 3 times.
We may be few, and our enemies many. Yet so long as there remains one of us still fighting, one who still rages in the name of justice and truth, then by the All-Father, the galaxy shall yet know hope. Pio, are you ready? Because this video will be different from the norm.
Different in what way?
See, in this day and age, where people are forgetting what the tenets of true art are, there seems to exist a portion of every fandom that believes that because something is made up, like fantasy or sci-fi, or in this case specifically 40k, it can simply change and adapt to every single facet of the lives of people, without any kind of repercussions for the universe in question.
Is that a fancy way to say that people believe you can simply change established universes however you want and not cause problems with those changes?
Correct, and today we are here to reiterate the importance, not only in 40k but in general, of lore and world building in any kind of universe that exists to tell a story, and we will do it from different sides and perspectives that don't keep themselves to the simple written lore. Lore and world building aren't easy parts of the job of a writer. Making a believable and compelling universe that makes sense by itself and doesn't contradict itself is an Herculean task, especially the bigger the universe in question gets. 40k is a shining example of this. The lore of Warhammer 40k is massive, and I say it with all my soul, as a person that studied it for thousands of hours, that learned English to learn 40k lore between bus trips to university, just to study this giant universe of war and slaughter to its core. Getting into 40k is probably one of the hardest things you can choose to do if you are looking for an hobby. Now, you must know that there is some principles that every single universe, fantasy, sci-fi or whatever, must always obey by, and those principles are established by its lore and world building. A thing many people seem to forget when it comes to an established universe is that it must obey by certain rules, to be consistent, but also to stay interesting.
What do you mean, stay interesting?
It is actually easier to explain with an example. You are familiar with the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings movies, right, Pio?
Yes, they are good movies.
Okay, now imagine if when the Fellowship of the Ring was established, when they departed, they didn't do it marching into Mordor, but they actually decided to use a Toyota Corolla, a level of technology obviously never achieved in a universe of pure fantasy, where the best type of transportation for humans and alike is horses. Would that take away from the believability of the universe?
Well, yes, obviously. Why is a Toyota Corolla in a medieval fantasy story?
Then you can see why stories must always have rules and restrictions. The moment the world building of any universe is broken, the moment the lore is broken, your suspension of disbelief is gone, and so is your interest in the story you are reading and learning.
Yes, so tell me,
Agreed.
Pontius, why did you choose such an old Toyota? I mean, you could have, sorry, chosen like something from the 2000s at least. But
Could have got a Tesla or something like that. That was an old school Toyota, but Toyotas can take a beating, so maybe it's the perfect vehicle to take into Mordor.
yeah, it's a good car, Toyotas. Because it explained exactly what I meant, something out of place, and that makes no sense. Yes, but you could have put like a new car and still wouldn't made any sense, you know. Would not. A change that broke rules in every way possible to make the problem visible. Yes, Pontius, we totally get it. Don't worry about that. I'm just joking about the car because it's one of the oldest Corollas I ever seen, and you just chose the footage from the oldest possible car, so that is why.
That's
It's
the
also
best
a
choice
meme.
ever.
Okay. Okay. What did you say, Kit?
I said it's the best choice ever. I stand by it. 10 out of 10. Good choice, my friend.
Okay. The best dwarf can get. Okay, did they just start it? Yes, we did. We did actually.
Yes,
We're
we did.
like 4 minutes in, actually. Okay, great analogy. I'm just joking about the car because, you know, it's so freaking old. But despite that, it doesn't really matter. I just love cars, so that's the other thing. But yeah, of course, you just put Superman in 40K, and it will. I mean, he will stick like a sore thumb. So, yes.
Exactly.
Okay, continuing.
Now, there is a distinction to make between lore bending and lore breaking, because they are far from the same thing. Something that bends the rules of a universe is a little bit more acceptable than something that breaks them entirely. The Primaris are the shining example of this. They make sense. The way they came into existence was the problem. Because when you look at it from the side of the Imperium in 40k, it is obvious that while sentient and with personalities, Astartes are still a kind of imperial weapon, and the Imperium is a cold and calculating empire, so it makes sense that they will try to better the Astartes to have an advantage in wars, and it is something that actually happened before the Primaris.
It did?
Yes, the 21st founding, also known as the Curse founding, wasn't actuated simply because the Imperium needed more marines, or at least not only for that reason. In fact, it was believed to be part of a project known as the Project Homo sapiens Novus. The Magos biologist that was in charge of overseeing the founding is believed to have tempered and altered the gene seed used for the new founding to try and correct and fix the existing problems, instabilities and mutations that were present in the gene seed that was used for the founding. To put it simply, it was trying to remove the curses that were afflicting the chapters of Space Marines from which the gene seed came from. Accept it or not, it is partially also what the Primaris gene seed did. So while technically lore bending and shittily written, as I have explained in my video titled The Primaris Mistake, it is something that makes sense in the context of the Imperium and the universe in a time of complete desperation. It might not be good, but still it is not in the lore-breaking territory of the lore, especially for the reaction the Imperium had for it, where in various books we read of how many chapters consider the Primaris mutants, abominations, or outright something to mistrust or kill because they shouldn't exist.
Okay, so quick note, yes, the Primaris, I watched your video about the Primaris. Yeah, your idea of how they should have been done and presented into the lore is a lot better than what actually ended happening. But yeah, they do have to be there as a necessity because the universe needs them. I mean, 40k, the Emperor, the Imperium needs them. It's just the way that they were written in is not the best way possible at all. I mean, it sucks. But yeah,
Yeah.
I do like them as you know, they're cool and all, but yeah, they could have been written better.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that could have been could have been done for the Primaris. I perhaps maybe I'm more lenient on the Primaris being introduced into the story. I mean, it just seems like Gilliman is always a person who has a plan within a plan, and that he would maybe have this idea with Belisarius' call to set up the Primaris Marines. I mean, it is out of left field, but I'm not as upset by it. Probably, and again, it just seems like what Gilliman would do with the fact that he was at the time the Lord Commander when his other brother Primarchs were still around too.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Because nobody should have tampered with the gene seed of the Astartes made by the Emperor of Mankind. They introduced something in the lore that shouldn't have happened without heads rolling, and when it was found out, if it wasn't for a son of the Emperor that wanted to keep the peace, it would have been Horus Heresy 2 Erebus Boogaloo.
I still prefer the version you gave in your video.
In my video, I simply tried to fix the introduction of the Primaris, because if we really want to keep them, there were better ways to introduce them into the lore without them feeling like they were just thrown in the universe of 40k at random. It is why there is entire books that try to fix the mess that the lore became when the Primaris appeared. But still, that is not lore-breaking territory. If we want to look at lore-breaking territory, we just have to look at the recent retcon of the female Custodians.
Ah shit,
Yeah.
here we go again.
Now, we will touch on the shitty writing used in the introduction of the female Custodians in a second, just to make you understand to what point who wrote it doesn't understand shit about Warhammer 40,000. But first, let's go with the fact that not only they came out of nowhere, but that also the only effort Games Workshop made to make them canon was a fucking tweet saying they always existed. Now, I imagine that I don't need to explain why this is not even remotely possible in 40k, I already made a video on that after all, but you can understand that when in the Emperor's Legion they are called Brotherhood and Brothers, when in the Codex Adeptus Custodis 9th edition that everybody was telling me made it possible for there to be female custodians, comment left by hundreds of people under the Adeptus Custodis video I made, they are called sons, nephews, cousins, when in the 8th edition they were still only called sons, and when in the book Valdor Birth of the Imperium, the first Captain General of the Legio Custodis, Constantine Valdor himself, refers to the Custodis order as he, and calls them his brothers, implies that all Custodians are male, thing that is still the canon lore, and in the exact same book he proclaims that he has perfect recall abilities for all his memories. I call bullshit on the statement that female Custodians ever existed, let alone always existed.
Maybe Valdor just had space dementia, who knows?
And let's not even mention the words of the Emperor himself on the matter. Giulio, can you please narrate the declaration made by the Emperor of Mankind during the Age of Strife about the Custodians?
Yes, I gotta
Thank you.
stop it here because we do have something to say. I'm sure Kit also has something to say. Kit, I'm gonna let you talk first.
Well, when it comes down to the female Custodians, I think our last live stream together was really on point, especially how they've always existed. No, they haven't. They've never been addressed or acknowledged. What this was a shoo-in attempt to try and meet quota and appease to a modern audience, which never works, and especially when it's completely lore breaking, because throughout the entire Custodians history, it was always the male heirs, or either that from the male nobility of Terra, Earth, to be accepted into the Custodians program, and that's what the template was designed for males. It's not excluding women. It's just it wasn't designed for women. It's just that simple. You have so many other various factions and groups within the Imperium in which women are in leadership roles and in many ways commanding space marines in sensitive military missions or diplomatic missions. So we have to keep pushing this, because the whole idea of changing a IP to appease a demographic that might not buy the material, books, games, anything, is a way a corporation can go belly up. I mean, look at Marvel, look at Disney. I mean, we've repeated this before. They're in the red. They're losing money. And I just recently also saw another report where YouTube is outperforming television. I mean, traditional television is dying, and the media landscape, especially intellectual properties, cannot afford to dismiss a loyal fan base that will buy your said product. I mean, if you want people to be interested in it, then yes, do a show, but make sure it's lore accurate. You just can't have female custodians come out of nowhere and say, "Oh, this is just fine." No, it's not. Make it accurate and keep it to the system that it's in. Otherwise, you will end up like all the other graveyards that have Star Wars or Disney or Marvel etched on them. Simple as that.
Yeah, and I even had to argue with the guy on our first video, our first reaction of Pontius' first video that we reacted to. So basically, yeah, there was a guy that decided to lecture me about how I should I should care. Sorry, I should care that there's no super powerful female faction at all. So if I have the female custodies, like if I have them, I mean, it's so ridiculous in whatever way you look at it. But yeah, I should want, female custodies because they are powerful and I'm a girl. And I'm like, look, mister, first of all, you're forgetting to give respect at all to like Sisters of Silence, Sisters of Battle. And there's tons of women in the Astra Militarum and all of that. And second, I mean, only weak-minded people think in this way. So I am a certain thing, so I need to be represented. And that will help me how? I mean, I cannot identify with a 3 meter of a woman that looks like a man and has more hormones than a man. Yes, I mean more male hormones than most men put together, like most regular men. How am I represented in Warhammer 40k? I mean, first, nobody needs to be really represented. That's stupid. Because you either have to have some kind of insecurities, complex, or whatever to want to be represented in anything. Just watch the certain like movie or play the game or like read the books, whatever lore we're talking about. Just enjoy it as it is. There's many characters in there. There could be like a vegetable that is like very smart and interesting. You don't need to identify with every single thing ever on the screen. You don't need to be man or a woman to understand another creature, like another human, another animal that is suffering or going through something. You just need to be a normal, common sense, person that has critical thinking and some kind of a human empathy, sympathy, and just to be able to understand anything. So that is extremely stupid. I just explained to this person real quick that he cannot tell me what I should want, first of all, because a lot of those people that push these things, they always try to like advocate, like for example this guy tried to advocate for women representation in 40k, but at the same time he wants to talk down to me like what does it mean what I should, who are you to tell me what I should or should not want in the lore? I like it as it is. I like male characters. I love the custodians, big, manly, crushing enemy spines all day long. All of those things. I mean, they're great. Why do I need to have any women there? And of course, he explained how the Astra Militarum were so weak and individually they cannot do a thing. And I'm like, what does it mean individually? They're an army. They're like the most, like the biggest army in 40k that have been doing such heavy liftings for thousands upon thousands of years. Like the Astartes cannot compensate for their number and what they actually do for the Imperium. And there are so many men and women in there. They're an army. What does it mean individually? And people love them because they are human and they give their heart and soul in battle and they die for the Imperium. But they're a lot more regular than the Astartes, but they still do it. They still put themselves in harm's way, and they do it because they believe in the Imperium and the Emperor and all those things. That's why people respect them and love them. So what is this person talking about? I mean, everything is wrong in these types of thinking, the same type of thinking that puts female custodians in there. That's what I mean. Because with these types of representation, they're putting actual representation like down. because they are not paying any attention to female. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, to any female characters at all. To the Astra Militarum, like where my Astra Militarum, not Astra Militarum, sorry, in general. I mean, where's the attention to Sisters of Silence and Sisters of Battle? I mean, they release some miniatures of Sisters of Battle, but I don't see any like novels that focus more on them or on Sisters of Silence. So where are they and all those things? So it's this big contradiction. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, and also just a little bit of small note here. I've run into a lot of those advocates and people who, want to push, for social justice. Half of them don't even believe in a fraction of what they're saying. They don't even believe in any of that. Like it's just it's hypocrisy, because when you see them, it's just like they're very insufferable. Like most I've met don't even they're just there to try and make themselves look morally superior. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, but it's really, really funny when one of those guys just try to talk down to a girl to explain to her how she has to want different things because he knows best, he knows better than me. That's not sexism at all. Yay! Great. Okay, continuing. Now let's see the Emperor, what he has to say, because I also did like a whole video animation about this particular line that he said, as well as others that I gathered from Custodians that have been speaking about themselves, and other, I think, generals and other references. Actually, Rogel Dorn also spoke about the Custodians. So all of those lines that you can take from the lore, they prove that the Custodians were always male. So there.
These men are my bodyguards, their lives forfeit to the guarantee of my physical safety. Of their loyalty to me there shall be no question nor doubt. I, and I alone, shall have the authority to stand in judgment over them. No other commander shall they have in battle nor in service. None shall bar them from me, and none shall hamper or stall their mission. So it is decreed.
And I will demonstrate now that whoever made that retcon knows fuck all about 40k lore in general. Because let's mention just one of the female custodians introduced in the retcon of the 10th edition Custodes Codex, Calladay's Taurovalia Kesh. Now, Pio, you don't understand as much as me of 40k lore, but I'm sure as I recall the short story of her introduction...
Wait, this is like an anime character that actually has hips and actually is a woman in a woman's armor of a custodian. I mean, if we had female custodians at the very beginning, if they were actually integrated in the lore naturally from the very beginning, they were always there for real. That is how they should look like if they're gonna make them, at least, make them be like women. That would not make any sense, though. That would not, because to make a custodian, they should basically become men to do that, so that still doesn't make any sense. But whoever drew that, amazing artist, by the way, wow. But at least, I mean, it's great that she looks like a woman. I'm just happy about that. But that's just too flattering for what we actually got, which was like Pontius says, the daughter of Brock Lesnar, was it? Just let me find your chat comment.
I don't even see the image. Please don't show us what that custodian looks like again. My brain can't handle it.
No, I will not, don't worry. I just want to read what that was like. The daughter of Brock Lesnar, no offense to Brock Lesnar, or something like that. I mean, probably the female custodian in the animation looked like the daughter of Brock Lesnar, no offense to her or Brock Lesnar. Well, I don't know if he has a daughter, but she'll probably just look like a normal girl, okay? So a daughter with the daughter of Brock Lesnar, who also got on more steroids than he ever took in his whole life. So there you go. Yeah.
You will notice that something isn't right. So, to put it simply, Kesh is a custodian chosen for the Blood Games of the Imperial Palace, events where the custodians are tasked with an assassination mission of the Emperor to test the defenses of the Imperial Palace. Missions that can take months if not years, but that are used to strengthen the protection of the Emperor against every enemy that might want to attack him or kill him. You following me?
I am following you.
So, first thing Cash does is requisition a ship of Battlefleet Solar, the protectors of the solar system and the Throne world.
Okay, still following.
She managed to acquire a cyclonic warhead, an exterminatus-level bomb created to be used in cyclonic torpedoes to apply exterminatus to a planet.
Seems a bit excessive, but okay.
The crew, obviously, not only knows that they are transporting that kind of weapon under a custodian that is tasked with trying to assassinate the Emperor, but know that she wants to use it to try and kill the Emperor of Mankind.
Why are they going along with it?
And not only that, they know exactly what she wants to do, as she wants to teleport a bomb inside the throne room of the Emperor to try and kill him.
Why are they not warning anyone about it?
They did. They warned the custodians that stopped Cash before she could attempt to exterminatus the ass of the Emperor. But don't you notice another little problem with this plan, by chance?
That is a miracle she got close at all while commanding a ship tasked with protecting the planet of the Emperor.
Yes, but also another thing that makes you understand to what level the person that wrote this retcon didn't understand the lore of Warhammer 40,000. You see, the Imperial Palace, that is as big as a continent, is protected by a system of void shields called the Aegis. It is a state-of-the-art system of interlapping void shields that is used for the protection of the Imperial Palace. And that was responsible for the Imperial Palace going untouched for a long time during the Siege of Terra. But that is not my point. Pio, Imperial Technology 101. What is the main peculiarity of void shields?
That they teleport everything hitting them into the warp so there is a chance of bombs just hitting random demons at random times.
Yes, but also, you can't fucking teleport through void shields! Or you think Horus was a fucking idiot that went the entire siege trying to bring down the Aegis and the walls of the Imperial Palace just for fun? You think he will not teleport marines inside the palace, or just send the fucking dreadnoughts in it if it was possible to teleport with that kind of technology through void shields? Don't get me wrong, there is weapons that can teleport through a void shield, but none of them are the ones used in the short story of Cash. You can't even use drop pods against void shields because they react to the velocity of the pod. And even then, even if Horus was a fucking idiot together with Perturabo for not just doing the simplest of things and violating the rules of void shields of 40k to teleport inside the Imperial Palace, you think that after 10,000 years of defending the palace, after countless blood games, after all the knowledge the Custodians hold and the technology they wield, you think they will be so fucking stupid to never consider the eventuality of somebody even trying to teleport something inside the fucking throne room of the Emperor? The entire short story makes no sense unless you retcon the entire fundament of the lore of 40k, from how void shields work to the existence of female custodians, that weren't once mentioned in any book of the Horus Heresy or Siege of Terra or any books before the retcon of the 10th edition Adeptus Custodis Codex. If we don't have to follow the rules of the universe anymore to do things, think that by itself makes the universe something not interesting, because the rules can change at any point for any shitty writer that needs a plot device for his story, then I will start doing changes myself. It is the battle of the First Black Crusade. Abaddon just defeated and disemboweled Sigismund, that has now died while the Black Sword is still through the chest of Abaddon. Then a portal to the warp opens, and outside of it, here comes Steven Seagal. He uses his moves of Aikido to kill Abaddon, now becoming the 5th god of chaos, the god of shitty acting.
That is a bit of an over-exaggeration.
Why? If we can change the lore how we want to fit any story we want to tell, why would that not count?
I really don't have a counter to that.
And this, unfortunately, leads me to the central part of the problems with modern day 40k, canon and the war that has now blown up inside the fandom. And that is how modern fans and modern writers don't understand Warhammer 40,000. Now, don't believe, I don't consider myself the only person that understands 40k, far from it. There is a lot of expert people that learn the lore and understand 40k to its core, but the vast majority of people that has just a passing or light knowledge of 40k seems to be the one advocating for changes the most.
Change isn't always a bad thing.
And on that you are 100% right, Pio. The problem is that not only people are demanding increasingly more stupid changes to 40k, with people wanting to diminish the grimdark aspect, with people saying, no, but it's good that 40k is more inclusive, while just days before the retcon happened, they were calling all 40k fans fascist for liking 40k unironically and having favorite factions in it. Especially Imperium fans got that treatment. But they've
Okay, I'm gonna like bring the video a bit back so we can come back to the last point, but first I wanted to address something. So so the Pontius says, thank Major Kale for that. He commissioned 18 plus content on them for his Patreon the same day they were leaked. First, how is this so fast? And second, yeah, he always uses whatever it is. He doesn't care. He just wants to make money, so he's gonna print those things like hotcakes if it makes yeah, you know what I mean. Quinn says, yeah, Pontius, it would have been more believable if you used Chuck Norris. Yeah, actually, because Steven Seagal is really a joke of absolutely everything, basically. He's even in Johnny Bravo. It's the Screw
What?
Ringo. Yeah, he's
no.
a character called a screen. Yeah, I already said it and can't repeat it now. It's very interesting name. But yeah, he's there. He's there to make fun of him. Yeah, Squint Ringo. That's yeah. I mean, yes. This is the last 2 days, guys. I'm just with a terrible headache, so it's hard for me to connect two sentences, unfortunately. But we gotta do this because last week it was just gaming on my other channel. I mean, gaming content, and I haven't done anything here. I just want to catch up, so I will work on videos behind the scenes and not talk that much myself. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to get back to a little bit, basically about the point that a lot of people want some changes to 40k to be more inclusive. That's what we see with the right bone. That's what we see with the stupid female custodians thing. Then, you know, last year actually there was encyclopedia that was released, and that encyclopedia didn't include the female custodians at all, so that's why we thought that they were scrapped from the lore, because it's a huge encyclopedia and there's no female custodians anywhere to be found, and the custodians are explained there very thoroughly. So that was kind of weird. And then we found out that GW does not actually create this. There's some other company that does this. So basically it's like, well, this was already ready for print before the female custodians, but that was like 1 year by this point, almost 1 year, not completely. No, actually in April the female custodians were shown, so it's not 1 year, but like I think yeah, 6 months. 6 months. Yeah, 6 months. I'm kinda going forward in time already, so yeah. So nobody knows, and basically we were waiting for another codex to solidify or delete them, which we did not get yet. So just wanted to throw that in there. Get?
Well, one thing, like when you have the new fandom come in, I mean, I think it's important for maybe the old guard to, like, you know, just welcome them in and just, you know, give them the stuff that they can understand. I think there's a lot of change that could be accepted maybe over time, but I mean, if it's lore breaking, like, no, don't. But and that's one thing that worries me, especially if 40k really does take off, because when it comes down to the faction of chaos, what I'm worried about is people saying, I don't know if we could do this or that. And chaos is a very dedicated and brutal faction, and in order to show just how scary they are, you cannot water them down or PC them, okay? Because chaos is just that. They are the people you don't want to run into in a dark alley.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also true. Okay.
The problem is that not only people are demanding increasingly more stupid changes to 40k, with people wanting to diminish the grimdark aspect, with people saying, no, but it's good that 40k is more inclusive, while just days before the retcon happened, they were calling all 40k fans fascist for liking 40k unironically and having favorite factions in it. Especially Imperium fans got that treatment. but the writers are putting their hands into it now. The property is of Games Workshop, and that is obvious. They can do whatever they want with Warhammer 40k, and hire whoever they want to write stories for 40k. But it doesn't mean that what comes out from the writer is good for the universe or world building of 40k itself. Especially if the writers start injecting their own political ideologies, left or right leaning they be, into the things they write. The same people advocate as female marines for the Imperium to be less brutal and more open to ideas of
Kit.
Mm.
The connection
Yes.
broke. Actually.
What connection?
The OBS connection. Hey guys, can you hear us? Yes. Because I saw that OBS literally broke connection, then continued with the connection. So now,
Okay,
now it's back. Okay, thank you, Pontius. I'm not sure what happened. Just completely flatlined, and now it's perfectly fine.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So
don't we love it? Praise be
okay.
to the Messiah.
Oh, good. Okay. So just so you know, guys, if that happens again, I mean, that haven't happened since I fixed my internet issues like months ago. If that happens again, it's just gonna be restarted and we'll be back. It's not gonna like completely stop. So at least that, because YouTube keeps the connection until the software returns to itself, so to speak. So I'm gonna go back just a little bit.
40k. But it doesn't mean that what comes out from the writer is good for the universe or world building of 40k itself. Especially if the writers start injecting their own political ideologies, left or right leaning they be, into the things they write. The same people advocating for the Imperium to be more inclusive, for there to be female custodians, female marines, for the Imperium to be less brutal and more open to ideas of inclusivity and friendship, and in the same breath accuse the Imperium to be a satire of the worst possible political ideologies that ever existed on our planet turned to 11, understand nothing of Warhammer 40k as a whole. These people really need to make up their minds. Is 40k satire of the worst possible outcome for humanity and all factions involved, or it is a factions of humans that are open to different ideas, cultures, inclusivity and rainbows? Because it can't be both. Imagine that a war was sparked after the retcon with the official wiki of 40k, because people were going and correcting it and even modifying quotes to make the language of the custodian gender neutral because of the retcon. And it continued until the admin was forced to revert at least the changes to the quotes because it was making the wiki inaccurate. It was going full 1984 on the wiki to revision what even the Emperor said.
Are you saying you think the Imperium shouldn't be diverse?
It is not what I'm saying. I'm saying the Imperium is already diverse and inclusive. But instead of being forced inclusivity, like the writers of today like so much to introduce into stories, as we have seen with the female custodians debacle, it is natural diversity. The Imperium spans 1 million worlds. There are all kinds of people from all kinds of different cultures working together for one single objective, making humanity survive in an uncaring universe and an uncaring galaxy that wants to kill them all just for having the audacity not to lay down and die when faced with unsurmountable odds. It is also why I consider the retcon of the female custodians so much of a detriment to 40k, because why in the hell did we need the female custodians when we already had the Sisters of Silence? Human warriors, even if pariahs, but being pariahs just makes them poison to psychers, not superhuman, but that fight side by side and can keep up with the superhuman Adeptus Custodians. We already had the strong female woman fighting on the same level of the Custodes, but because the writers and the people of today care more about ticking boxes on a list than writing good stories, we now have a conflicting source of lore saying that the female custodians exist. Because the tourist fans that are just getting into 40k but say it as problematic and something that should change, and be more awful and open, fail to realize something. The main theme of 40k is hate. Editor, please play the introduction to every single piece of 40k media ever produced ever, and that is written literally on the first pages of every codex and book ever released of 40k.
To be a man in such times is to be one amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future there is only war. there is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods.
And yet, people come in the comments to talk about how progress is good in 40k, forgetting that the only constant of the entire universe is that war is omnipresent. And all the while they use as arguments lore that is completely wrong or even not canon at all coming from just a general knowledge of what 40k is, and without a deeper understanding of what the universe or the people in it live and fight for. I beg you, before you express an opinion or suggest a change to the lore of 40k, at bare minimum, you should know the lore well enough to understand why such changes will conflict with it. Try to learn what is needed to make at least an assumption that is possible and doesn't conflict so openly with the lore to the point of shattering the basic rules of the universe itself.
You have any theories as to why these people use inexact lore to try and justify the changes to the lore of 40k?
Yes, Pio. The problem is in fact 40k YouTubers.
Oh no.
I consider YouTubers and influencers the first people guilty of what I was talking about when I spoke of generalization or completely wrong lore. Now, these people are also successful, more than this channel is, and I recognize that. But you must understand that because their channels are big, doesn't mean that they are right, or that the lore videos they put out are of good quality in what they explain.
Which ones are you talking about exactly?
Oh, the usual. Major Kill with his videos that have a medium of half the video of wrong lore in it. Hammer with his inaccuracies. Adeptus Ridiculous that makes up lore for laughs. But at least I can give it to them that their motto is entertainment over accuracy, so I can't fault them too much for it. But I can fault Bricky, one of the hosts, as he makes lore videos, but still there is so many wrong parts that I can't even watch one without having a headache by this point.
What about the Templin Institute?
I have passed with the Templin Institute, and what I can say is that the channel itself is just a repeat of the wiki of 40k with all mistakes of the wiki left in it, to the levels of One Mind Syndicate, and especially the owner and host is a full-blown hypocrite. In his video about how female marines are possible, he says himself, as a lore channel, that lore doesn't matter, other than his full-blown arrogance in the video itself, where he calls whoever doesn't agree with him mindless automatons and bigots, while in the same breath asking for the debate to remain civil. The other channels I don't like personally because they get the lore wrong. I don't like Templin personally because he is at the same time as arrogant as he is a coward. As he backed down from his own challenge that he launched on Twitter about how he will destroy anybody that disagree with him about the fact that female Astartes can exist using lore, and when I myself, more than a year before this channel was created, stepped up to the challenge, he immediately backed out, because he didn't like the terms of the challenge itself, and then excused it with, I won't give a platform to a complete nobody.
You really dislike him more than other people.
But it is not all bad. I follow...
Okay, first, I mean, yeah, I agree with everything. Like, I also have my own things that I have noticed, especially about Major Kill. I covered Templin's Institute video and how stupid it was, and all those things. And all of the others that you mentioned, and Bricky, I covered Bricky like several times about his stupidity. And like I said, even when one of my first videos that I ever reacted to was, his videos about the factions, and I was like, what? This just doesn't really make much sense. I mean, how is this and how is that? So even I, that had like almost zero idea of 40k back then, and just reacted to that, I mean, I didn't take that seriously at all, because I saw that he is just talking out of his butt. So yeah, I'm super happy that I actually got myself into 40k, and I read a ton of books, and I just keep going. And I can see the differences between bullcrap, like somebody's interpretation. That's why I always say to everyone, just try to read your own books and make your own conclusions, and just think, and not just like believe everything, because you will just have the wrong idea about 40k.
You know, I would like to add on here. See, here's the thing. As content creators, yes, we are entitled to have our own opinions, and it's important to have a civil debate. But when, you go into something on social media where you say, I'm going to challenge anybody and I will destroy them. I'll eviscerate them with my intelligence. What you are doing, what you're showing is that you are afraid, and that if you're not going to debate somebody, and then you back away from it, you're not even confident in your ability to articulate your facts. See, the whole idea of, debate and dialogue is that you are exchanging ideas. And on one hand, maybe your goal is to change the other person's mind, or either that, get the whole public to see, like, oh, your perspective is correct, or maybe have them consider that your perspective is correct. And when it comes down to the argument of space marines, like women being space marines or female custodians, the argument from the other side is completely illogical and it doesn't add up. Whereas you have the fandom, men and women, saying, no, this is the lore, and what you're doing isn't contributing anything. It's more divisive and more harmful than they realize. And so, if you're a YouTuber, just remember your audience has the right to tell you to F off. I mean, if there's something that you're doing that's wrong, or they feel like you're making a mistake, cherish your audience and at least respect the idea that the people who view you and like you will have the courage to say, hey, buddy, or hey, gal, you're wrong here. You might want to revisit that thing. You might want to relook at that, because you don't want to disrespect your audience. That's YouTube social media 101.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's hear the others.
Luetin as a first. It was my introduction to 40k after all, and he does his research pretty well. I also follow and was one of the first 10,000 subscribers of the Amber King, and I love his deep dives into specific parts of lore. And I am friend with Janovic, that puts an incredible amount of effort and research in every single video he makes, and I wait for every single video he publishes impatiently. What I'm trying to say is that the majority of the biggest YouTubers and influencers of 40k don't do their research when they make lore videos, or use headcanon as official canon. That is a thing that confuses the people that rely on them for information, and to be honest, I doubt they do the same level of research even we do for our videos. It is why in every single video we published, we put the sources used for the video listed in the description, because you can simply go and read yourself what we talked about. Thing I encourage myself a lot, because 40k is a wonderful universe. And we also always warn people when we are making theories or changing events to try and fix problems with the lore in our videos. Thing that I have not seen any of them do, or even specify, except for Adeptus Ridiculous. I even was an avid follower of Oculus Imperia when I knew less about 40k lore. Then I started noticing all the mistakes and headcanons used as canon in the videos. And the final nail in the coffin was his tweet on Twitter that complained about the language used to specify that only biological males can be used in the creation of Space Marines, language that he, a 40k fan and YouTube channel of lore, called offensive, while it is still the accurate statement for what is required to make Space Marines. Words matter. Lifting the copy put to paper over a decade ago may seem like it's fine, but times change, and thus the responsibility of language. In my day job, we employ sensitivity readers as part of the copy edit for this very reason. We can always be better. Let's do better. And all because the people were butthurt that only biological males could become Space Marines, in a sci-fi universe built on war and hate for anything different from yourself. If you call yourself a lore YouTuber, but are offended by the correct language used to specify correct lore of the 40k universe, you are an unreliable source of lore.
Are you
Yes, and how can
Yes,
I mean, how is then, I mean, those guys have to explain to me how then am I not offended by this language? Oh, could it be because I don't have 500 tons of insecurities and complexes and I don't need this? Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, yeah, another case of some very soy men that are offended from the behalf of women that are not in the lore and don't care about it. And those that care like me, they will never complain about any of this. So it's ridiculous.
I would also like to add here too, when we have, look, I get the idea of, being open-minded and accepted. And yes, in the real world, yeah, look, everyone should have an equal opportunity. But when it comes down to lore channels, yes, it might shock a modern person thinking like, oh, I can't believe it. So that means women can't become Space Marines? Well, there are reasons why. And I'll just say this as somebody who, look, I'm all for equal opportunity, but I would not want a woman to go through the trials of becoming a Space Marine or a Custodians. Okay, I don't like it. It's horrific. And yes, even for what happens to the young males who become Space Marines, it's a horrific transformation. But I would not want that to happen to a woman, because in Warhammer 40K there's a lot of horrible things that happen, not only within the warp or anything else, but it's a transformation, and there are reasons why the Emperor set this up. And what a lot of people don't realize, especially some of these maybe larger lore channels, is, you know, the Emperor did away with the Thunder Warriors for a multitude of reasons. He was going to go do away with the Space Marines eventually. If chaos wasn't going to happen, if everything was going to plan, that's what was going to happen to the Space Marines and eventually to the Custodians. And who knows about the Primarchs, but they were not long-term. They were tools. The Emperor viewed them as tools. Only later did he kind of maybe warmed up to his sons being his sons, because he had to put on so many faces. But they were tools for humanity to restore itself after the Great Fall, all right, after the Dark Age of technology. And that means if there were women Space Marines and women Custodians, they would also be cast aside. I hope anyone that's trying to push that agenda realizes that these super soldiers, the Emperor of Mankind was going to put them away, throw them away in whatever which way fashion he was going to do. Unless I'm wrong here, unless the audience wants to correct me. Which if I am, I will gladly apologize.
Yeah, let's continue.
Saying all these YouTubers are shit?
That is not what I'm saying. They are entertaining if you like them, yes. Can you be a fan of them? Yes. Can you dislike my opinion about them? Also yes. Nobody's stopping you from doing that. But what I'm critiquing is that people use the opinions of these YouTubers as facts, because people believe them to be the ultimate authority on 40k lore and the world building of the 40k universe, when in fact their videos contain so many inaccurate retellings of the lore to the point that some of them are considered jokes on that department, like Major Kill. People either find him funny or cringe, but nobody at all thinks he's accurate in what he says, because even a minimum of knowledge of 40k shows that at best he doesn't read the books, at worst he just reads the wikis. Now feel free to insult me or critique my opinion however you want. In the end, we are the smaller channel of people that make YouTube videos from just a few months. Even if I am the creator and main admin of one of the biggest private Facebook groups on Facebook on 40k. But the fact they are at it from longer or have more subscribers doesn't make their videos magically accurate. It is why we are so slow to put out videos, because we go and read every single source of lore we can find on the videos we are working on, so that we get, if not everything, at least almost everything as correct as possible. Being a 40k fan and YouTuber needs you to put effort into learning what you are talking about. And to be honest, if you enjoy 40k at all, you should defend it. Never believe the people that say the lore doesn't matter. Never believe the people that think it can be changed on a whim. We can all call ourselves fans of the same universe thanks to the lore and world building made to build that universe. Without the lore to base all the stories of 40k, all the ramifications of events that can happen, big or small, like the Pharaohs exploding and attracting the Tyranids in 30k just for them to arrive in the 31st millennium, or Abaddon throwing at Cadia the Blackstone Fortress that will shatter it and open the Cicatrix Maledictum that cuts the galaxy in two. Without lore and rules to follow for the universe, what investment would those events have? Just make the Emperor return from nowhere, use his enormous psychic powers to close down the Cicatrix Maledictum, and then recall to himself all Primarchs using only his mind, and purify the Chaos ones just to go to war against Chaos, win, and make the Imperium a utopia. It is that easy if you have no regard for the rules and limitation of your own universe. But at the same time, because of that, it becomes completely uninteresting and inconsequential. If anything can happen, if anything can change, nothing matters. If nothing matters, your stories don't matter. If your stories don't matter, your universe doesn't matter. Without lore and rules, there is no 40k, and this is true for every universe created for entertainment. And because of the people that believe that lore doesn't matter, and those that don't understand 40k, now the fandom is at war. It is the gatekeepers trying to keep the universe away from real-world politics and influences, so it can evolve in the confines of itself, and still keep itself consistent, and still be our escapism from the life of every day. Against the tourists that are pushing for real-world politics and retcons, may not to make the universe better or to flesh out events, but just so the parts that they are offended about are removed, because they can stand that somebody likes what they don't like. And as a closing thought, I want to invite you all to become gatekeepers of 40k. Because gatekeeping 40k doesn't mean keeping away people different than you, in ideology, or skin color, or sexuality. It means embracing the people that want to put effort to learn 40k because they like it, while pushing away those that come in just to push their ideology. New people joining the fandom who have a genuine interest in the lore, tabletop, books, video games, or a combination of the mentioned should be welcomed with open arms. However, it is incredibly naive to believe that everybody who shows up has good intentions. The Witcher, Rings of Power, Wheel of Time, and most recently Star Wars The Acolyte, which has accomplished the titanic feat of having a lower review score than the Star Wars Holiday Special and has become the most hated piece of Star Wars media ever put into production, have all shown that some people simply wish to corrupt things to push their outside agendas and don't give a damn about the IP itself. And you have seen it with the short story of the female custodian I talked about before. Warhammer is for anyone, not everyone. If respecting the universe you allegedly love is too much of an ask, or even learning it is too much of an ask, you are not a true fan of 40k, you are simply along for the ride. If you love something, you defend it, no matter who you are against. Be like the humans in 40k, don't bend to anybody. If you have to go down, do it standing, and fighting for what you care about.
Love it. Again, good stuff right there. Great stuff. You know what? I
Yeah.
gotta react to one of his videos. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna as a promise to myself because I have to say I've just only recently just saw a few videos of his, but I'm gonna check out some more because he did a very articulate breakdown. And yes, gatekeeping doesn't mean keeping out people that are that are brand new. It's more of gatekeeping the lore. Like, hey, this is how things are. Like, yes, stories do change. There's going to be some changes here and there, but I mean, consistency's key. Because he just brought up, The Witcher. I mean, look, how's that series going so far? How did that turn out? Especially when they lost the main actor. It's like it just went down. He was the only one keeping it together, and then when he left, it just became pure crap. Same thing like any other of these products, like Lord of the Rings or Wheel of Time or Star Wars. It saddens me because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who just really love those series, and now that they've been ruined and deformed, they just like don't want to go back to it. So yeah, I'm for gatekeeping, but the different kind, the gatekeeping of the lore, not gatekeeping people out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Pontius says, what is a Space Marine is the title, is what you should react to.
What is a space marine? Then you know what? Assignment accepted, and it'll be done from one Italian to another. Well, I'm not full-blooded Italian, but I will acknowledge my Italian brother. So there you go. I promise for you, my friend.
Oh, great. And Mr. Mewtube says, you must do the Imperial Aquila. The Emperor protects. What do you mean? To do this? To do this?
Yes,
Wait.
Yes.
Eh.
You got it. There you go.
Aha. So, like this. My other finger is doing something else. I must practice. It looks weird.
You must do it, dude.
Okay, so
there you go.
here it is.
Yes. Hold on. Watch what I do. It's like
Okay.
this.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay. Got it.
I'm watching you and I'm not doing it. Okay, I'm doing Wonder Woman usually, but I can do this as
Okay.
well when I practice in front of
you-
the camera because, looking at myself, it's just weird. Okay. Never mind. Aquila, here it is. That is...
Yeah, oh, you got it.
Ah! Okay. We're gonna accept that I did it. And
Yes, we
Ponte
will.
says, yeah, it is considered one of our best videos as its deep dive, so deep that many things we address people never talked about in 40k. Actually, that is very interesting. Okay.
Hey,
Gatekeep
what is a Space
simple.
Marine?
If you want to join the hobby, you're welcome. If you're looking to change the hobby, you're not welcome. Oh, great, dear Clayton. Yes, practice. Yeah, of course, guys. I mean, in all seriousness, you're getting into a hobby because you like it how it is. That's why you got into it in the first place, and not be like, oh, here's a party. Those people over there having a party in this universe. Let me go and break the party now because I'm an idiot. I mean, I'm a obnoxious woke person probably, because what else could be the reason to do something like that if you're not an obnoxious woke person? On a t-shirt, obnoxious woke person. That's gonna be a funny t-shirt, and we're gonna buy that for all woke people to wear. So we can like see them from afar and not interact with them at all. It's gonna be fun. For the Aquila, do we link the thumbs to go over and under for the ego heads? Well, I think whatever kid did looks perfectly like the Aquila, so yeah, it's the two ego heads that just look the different directions.
Exactly. Very simple.
Andy Dick? Oh, Andy Dick, yeah. What the heck happened with this guy? I haven't seen him for years. I mean, not since the last time he tried to put his parts in a bowl of something. I don't know.
Whoa, wait. The comedian who's been having these meltdowns, what, Andy Dick or something? That guy?
Yeah, but I literally haven't seen him since I was a little kid, yeah. I don't know
Oh,
what happened
well.
to him.
Yeah, a lot of partying and a lot of substances, and I think that's the best way and safest way to say it here on the YouTubes.
Oh, okay. I'd rather not know. I'd rather not know. Okay, guys, so that was great, actually. Kids, you can react to that, or we can do it together also. I mean, whatever you
Actually,
decide.
I do have some recordings I do have to do, so I might have to do the Spasmarine. Check it out.
Okay.
See what it is all about. So I must follow the orders, or I'll see what's actually in my roster to react to, because I have to do it. I need to have the weekend free just so I can relax a little, because I've been overstressed lately.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm gonna leave you to it then whenever you can. Okay, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this, and of course, I hope that you enjoyed the amazing video that we watched here, and of course, a huge shout out to the Pontius. You can just click on his name that he is tagged into to go to his channel if you haven't already, and we can do some more stuff together in the future, hopefully. And if you like to support me, links are also down below. And by the way, guys, I was like, on a side note, very quick side note, I was featured in a video by some guy today along with other YouTubers. It was a list of non-woke YouTubers. So basically, he was going after Chainsaw's list of last year of non-woke YouTubers, and I was included, but instead of focusing on me and what I do, he was like, well, she has an OnlyFans, so that must mean that she does very bad stuff there. And I had to write a comment, and other people, had to write a comment. Also, Pontius was there too, by the way, yeah, he was also there. Had to write a comment that I do what I said that I do there, which is the educational part in my physique updates that are absolutely censored and tasteful, so nothing explicit there. But anyways, I wish that this guy could put more attention to the content creation and what I have done, instead of, oh, she has OnlyFans, let's just cancel her like right away. I mean, almost like that, like, this is it, so next, ridiculous. Okay, you can go back and read, of course, to the next video. That's important. I am also actually in the works of 2 videos that has to do something with the lore. I mean, very interesting topics. It's just that it's not like these videos that you Pontius do. It's totally different, but it's very interesting. Like I said, I haven't seen anyone did this before, so it's gonna be interesting. Okay, guys, so love ya. And till next time, guys, with me, the 40k Empress and Kid from Chicago Reacts. Huge shout out again to Pontius, and love you guys. Sleep well. Bye bye.
Take care.